And good morning. This is Coach Big Pete of DeepDishFootball.com. It is time now for the Deep Dish Football game of the week between Manteno and Herscher. Week 7, IHSA football. It's going to be a good game. Coaching points, but again, coaching points for me is like, since I coached at Westmont, means absolutely shit. Joke. But from the games that I've seen, especially some of the small school games that I've seen this year and last year, I've seen when opponents go against a team heavily favored, and they get fancy. And when they get fancy, they end up losing the game. Do what you normally do. And this is just a preaching moment to a lot of coaches, not just for this game, but for a lot. Do what you do. Stick to your game plan that you have done so many weeks before. Whether it be Herscher, you've won you've won 6 games. You're 6-0. Stick to your game plan. Stick to what you do. Manteno, you have 2 losses, but you've also had some key wins too. An impressive win against Wilmington. Stick to what you know. If I'm Herscher, I'm taking a look. I'm definitely taking a look at that that Manteno versus Piatone game. Really special look at the pace yourself between your pass game and your run game. Don't get too fancy. Spread out that Manteno defense. You need to spread out that Manteno defense. If I'm if I'm if I'm a Manteno, don't give up the big plays. Give a little more cushion, and there has to be a constant pressure on quarterback jargon, especially with that Manteno defensive line. That Manteno defensive line and those blitzers on that linebacker crew, the 3-man front, have to find a way to put pressure on that Herscher quarterback. That's going to be um, a huge thing for the game. Um, Also taking a look too, I also thinking I had the player spotlight too. Anthony Corina. I'm going to mispronounce his last name about 16, 17 times. I do apologize, sir, and I apologize to your family too. But he's a player to look out for with the Herscher game. But it's going to be interesting, and and I really think that Coach Wetzel from Herscher and coaching staff, especially Coach Wetzel, is a coach who doesn't get talked about that often, but he deserves to be talked about more. I think he's a hell of a coach. Does a little bit of the run shoot scheme. My hat's off to the guy. Very, very well respected among coaching circles. Dan Wetzel is a hell of a coach. And then you go to Coach Haynes, um, still a fairly young coach. And again, another coach that is, I consider him one of the top younger coaches in that area. I also consider their defensive coordinator, who I think has been there for a long time, Matthew, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, I consider him a top defensive coordinator. His ability to get the defense ready, especially against, I'll say when I was coaching, he got that team. He made adjustments in the first half that were remarkable for what he did for his defense when I was coaching in Westmont, and he deserves all the respect in the world too. But it's going to be an interesting game. I do think that the Manteno team has got to start thinking has to respect that Herscher team, but also in the mindset of we can upset the Herscher Tigers. We can do what we did against Wilmington. We can do this against Herscher. Herscher, stick with what you know. Stick with what you did for those 6 weeks. Don't get anything fancy, and don't think about the playoffs. One game at a time, and especially against Manteno, limit the pass. That's all you got to do. That's going to be a huge thing for Herscher. Limit the pass because Manteno can't kill you with the pass. Those athletes, whoever's at quarterback, Warren, Steele, those 2 athletes are very, very good. And again, again, blocking against that defensive line of Manteno is gonna be a hell of a job, especially against Brandon Brokey, and that's gonna be a tough job too for Herscher. But I think it's gonna be a good game. So remember, Deep Dish Football Live tonight at 8 p.m. Talking more about Herscher versus Manteno. Check out Twitter, Coach Big Pete, and Deep Dish Football at Deep Dish FB. Going to go over a little more about the Manteno game film and the Herscher game film. We're going to be talking about a few more of the Herscher and Manteno coaches. Going to be talking a little bit about the game this Friday night. We'll be there. I'm also going to be at the sophomore game too. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at coachbigpete.fp@gmail.com. This is Coach Big Pete's Coaching Points for Herscher versus Manteno, deepest football game of the week, week 7.